潰し。
Hello everyone, Skippy here, and welcome to One Piece episode 932, directed by Masahiro Hosoda and supervised by Masayuki Takagi. While even in Wano I find Hosoda's overall direction a bit hit or miss, 932 looks a bit above the usual standards in terms of his most solid episodes, with both a storyboard that looks to portray a rather unique sense of scale that hinges very heavily on varied background art, and competently done action that should do the small amount of scenes that include it justice. Plot-wise, it certainly isn't the highest of priorities considering what's coming directly after it, so it is extremely likely that it could end up being a miss or at best a fairly okay hit, but with all of the aforementioned highlights in tow and what looks to be a strong showing from Takagi's illustrative and angular art, I have high hopes that it will be a surprising predecessor to the anime's upcoming main focus. So will episode 932 defy all odds and avoid being a blight on this recent string of episodes? Well, let's get caught in the inferno and find out. This episode covers the last 11 pages of chapter 936 and does an overall okay job when bringing the chapter to the small screen, but not an ideal one. Hosoda's general direction and music placement is at the very least fitting and doesn't feel woefully misguided in terms of tone, but it doesn't really leave me feeling much from what I'm given, which is really weird for scenes that are supposed to hit in a specific way like the bathhouse gag. And even when they add filler to help bridge continuity and make the overall pace a bit better, it feels incredibly drawn out lengthwise and kills whatever it was trying to go for in terms of filling in the blanks, with stuff like Luffy trying to train his haki to the next level being absurdly padded out by lengthy flashbacks from both 915 and 516. It's not a level of adaptation that I outright despise because unlike a lot of episodes I've seen in the past and in Wano as a whole, it feels focused and not misunderstanding the content and what they can and can't add, but I don't think it really means much on the whole when the focus is lacking in overall vibrance and feels like it's just doing the bare minimum to get by. While the board still has those few moments of interesting scale from last week's preview intact, I hate to say that those few examples are rather few and far between in the actual finished product, and are not representative of the final board as a whole. Because quite like the aforementioned adaptation and direction, it feels like it's at least competently done and not a mess and a half, but there's nothing you can really latch onto here due to the overall quality just feeling kinda ho-hum and lacking. There certainly are a few different examples of compositions that look colorful and all, and those are definitely nice for what they are when the added layer of compositing rears its head, but the rest of the board just feels a bit standard otherwise and doesn't feel consistent with the few fleeting moments of something special. Masayuki Takagi's art does its best to at least alleviate the rather mundane look of the episode, and there's several instances where it does, but there's also quite a few instances where it looks rather rough in design, which leaves our chief supervisor Ichikawa to tidy up his work here and there. All this and the fact that the small nuggets of good animation from the preview weren't all that special tell me that this episode was a victim of being rushed out the door. Sure, its overall quality isn't among the worst that the anime's ever seen despite this, and it's totally normal for a rushed episode to just drop out of the basket here and there, but it is a bit sad that an episode which had the makings of something pretty fun and enjoyable took the bullet and became nothing more than a take it or leave it okay entry in Hosoda's catalog of episodes. However, as many of you all know, that green-haired sword boy is what the anime is really honing in on right now, so it looks like we'll be in for an absolute treat next week with episode 937 from Aya Komaki and supervised by Toshio Deguchi and Midori Matsuda. Our co-series director being in charge of one of her own boards for the first time since 909 is worth hyping this episode up as it is. But when absolutely absurd animation from the likes of Jun Won-tan and Takashi Kojima are on display in this simple 30-second preview, it seems as if there will be tons more to look forward to. With Deguchi having the right amount of time to really polish up his artwork, and Matsuda taking every single measure to make sure Zoro looks as good as her character design sheet, the wait for this episode is just getting more and more painful. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and you gotta love how they basically just gave pre-time skip One Piece the Dragon Ball Super composite.